Eventually, what will happen is roles will change, just like roles changed in the past technology innovations, right? The only thing is, right now, the roles are changing faster, so we need to adapt faster.
Welcome to the Chief AI Officer or CAIO podcast, where AI mentor Sanjay Puri talks with the leaders shaping tomorrow's technology. We explore their stories, challenges, and big ideas driving change. So if you're curious about how AI is transforming work, business, and everyday life, this is your front row seat to the future. From cloud innovation to cybersecurity strategy, Viral Tripathi has built a reputation for making tech transformation not just possible, but powerful. As Chief Information Officer of C1, he's at the forefront of shaping how businesses evolve in the digital era.
Viral, welcome to the CAIO podcast.
Thank you, Sanjay. Super excited to be on this podcast. We're in that cusp of time where these conversations are super important and will shape our future. So glad to be here.
At C1, your current company, how are you structuring your organization so to ensure you're not just the IT person who does AI, but genuinely architecting the AI first operation?
Yeah, that's a fantastic thing, right? Like, so titles always follow the real world that we live in, and especially technology leads the way. And it used to be the innovation front, and then technology CTOs came in, and now AIOs. AI is everybody's, it's going to impact every role. It will enable productivity gains in specific functions more than others. And eventually, as we redefine the business models and the new business models come up, AI is going to take a more and more strategic role on there. So AI is not just one person's role, or the AI officer defines a strategy and that's it. It's how we actually evolve as an organization. And at each role, how do we leverage the toolkits that we have? And more specifically, AI is the most advanced and the latest toolkit that we have to deliver productivity, improve our customer experience, whether it's internal customer or clients externally, and get things done better, faster, and achieve the business outcomes. End of the day, it's about business and the business outcomes we achieve. So myself and leaders like me in the C-suite, that's what we're aiming for. Like, are we doing AI because it's just new and cool, or are we really leveraging the power of AI to advance and deliver the customer service and grow our company?
It is a toolkit focused on outcomes, business outcomes. So, Viral, where should this role report into? Who should it report into?
If you're running a strategic function, very important function like finance and managing the cash situation, the CFO reports into the CEO. Similarly, we saw the transition of CIO IT as technology took more prominence in the last few years through data and cloud. More and more CIOs start reporting into the CEO. And the same way, if depending on the company and the culture, if the CEO sees AI as yet another strategic advantage, that's what it should report into, or very closely aligned with the technology function. So there's still, depending on the industry and the sector, the answer might be slightly different, but it has to be somewhere in the C-suite. There's a reason why it's called a chief AI officer and not a AI director or a manager, right? So it has to be the chief indicates the strategic nature and the value it brings in.
A lot of people who are listening in there are people who are aspiring to be in this role. Viral, in some of your LinkedIn posts that I was reading, you've been remarkably candid about self doubt. You shared stories about pushing the GAIN framework that you have, despite initial skepticism from your team. How do you balance humility about what you don't know about AI with the confidence required to make very important strategic, financial, business, change management decisions? When do you know it's time to push through the resistance and sometimes just maybe pull back, reconsider your hypothesis? Again, this is for leaders like you who are watching who want to know from you.
most technology leaders have years of experience. But when you start collaborating with the business and you start becoming that business leader, not just a tech leader, and you start working with your business partners and collaborating, then I built a framework that enabled that collaboration and helped us look at is the what is the value chain of my organization look like. I'm not just going to do it because AI is cool. I already had a center of AI excellence in the teens, in the 20 teens already. But when ChatGPT came in and was publicly available, that changed a lot of things. And also, quite frankly, with my background and academical background in mathematics and all that, I was able to be the bridge between the data scientists, the AI engineers, and with my business background and years of experience with the business, and I was able to become that bridge. So I developed that framework that looked at the business value chain and start looking into bringing in design thinking and agile principles and user stories, like as a dot 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 my role, I want to dot 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 like my objectives of that role, so that I can dot 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 like what are the business outcomes we achieve. We started doing all these user stories and started creating a list of use cases. And that's where the humility comes in. Like we don't know what we don't know. And you have to explore. The art of the possible comes in. And at the same time, we might fail. Be ready for failure, but don't fail too big. Don't wait to fail till the end. Fail small, learn, create that loop, and whatever works, that is when you need to have that clarity and confidence to aggressively go and put it out in the market and test it out in the real world, not in the lab, real world answers. And we did that. And as soon as we hit some use cases and we started seeing some results, then it was about gaining that confidence of business and reimagining the journey. That's where the strategic nature of the role comes in. That's where the CEO has to come in because we're changing the ways people work. And major technology changes like this also create a lot of anxiousness. It's finding that balance between art and science.
When you fail, do you let your CEO know, your board know, and how do you let them know that you failed?
When we fail, we didn't just brush it aside and move on. We spent time to understand why, like what went wrong. Was it because we didn't approach it the right way? Was it because the technology is still evolving? Was it that we did everything right, but it's maybe not the right industry, or it's our broader application set? Like try and understand why. Don't just move on, right? Like you, otherwise you're never learning from your failure. And so the teams also feel confident that, okay, maybe we do something differently. So when the new ideas and use cases come up, somebody's like, hey, did we try that 3 months ago? Maybe that didn't work there, but it could work here. Or we know it's not going to work. Like there are several different things. So also spend time to understand why we fail.
Just briefly, Viral, within your organization, do people look at you as a tech guy or a business guy, or
So from a functional point of view, the first impression when I was brought in, and I'm the first CIO at C1, the company had grown rapidly through 20 plus acquisitions in 3 to 5 years, right? So being the first CIO and modernizing the tech stack automatically makes an impression that I'm the tech person. But as things evolve and as technology starts making an impact on outcomes and business and helps grow the business, it's a journey. It's a personal journey as well for people to see, do you lead with tech or do you lead with the business side of things? For example, we're rolling out ERP, and it's a cloud ERP and it's got a suite of AI products embedded in it, and it's a journey. So I could either present is like, hey, we are rolling out ERP with AI, or I could start with, we're solving business problems to improve our DSOs, to improve our cash collections. And this is a tool that we do it. And this is the tool we believe is going to get us there faster.
talking about your organization, Viral, you joined, December 24, from what I understand, post restructuring. What has attracted you to a company that's kind of rebuilding itself, and what have you learned in the time that you've been there, especially about the state of AI readiness in that company, which can be a lesson for others?
Yeah, so for me personally, there was three things. The number one was the opportunity ahead. C1 being a technology company, and we provide tech products. We provide professional service for the tech products that we resell, and we provide managed services for the products that we've deployed and installed. And we do it across three key areas. One is infrastructure experience, one is the customer service experience, one is the security experience. That puts us right bang center of this transformation through AI. And helping clients go through their journeys sounded super exciting for me. And I thought the company was in the right space. The second thing was the C suite and the vision of the board, and where this company can go. And when all that is right, the third and probably the most important thing that really pulls me and gets me motivated every single day is the culture. Like, we have a culture of innovation, entrepreneurship. We build products for things that improve our life in the short term, but we also have eye on the ball for the long term, and we start building on strategic capabilities that we need. In fact, I just came back from a meeting for 3 4 days where the leadership team was already working on 2026 plan. So it's finding that balance, and that the culture that drives that and propels us forward towards the future that we see it coming, and we're part of shaping that future ourselves.
Walk our listeners through your framework for quantifying, AI impact, and how do you differentiate between, productivity gains metrics that could look good in a PowerPoint, but versus genuine defensible ROI that could satisfy the CFOs and customers? How do you, analyze ROI?
I was asked these questions when I grew up in India and my first job, like, why do you need a X amount of computer where my finance guy can just do it in 2 days, three people? So in some cases, it's not about the ROI, it's the ways of doing things, it's the evolution. And in some cases where there are major investments needed, yes, the ROI is there, focus on the value and what can we do more and new in the future. We wouldn't have had Uber or Airbnb if it wasn't for cloud. And those business models did not exist until cloud reached a stage of certain level of maturity and adoption through enterprises. As AI goes through the journey, we're going to see new business models evolve. Right now, it's mostly chatbots and summarization tools and things, but there will be new things that emerge, like the listeners of your podcast and smarter brains. People would start coming in together and say, "Oh, we can do something new here." So that's what's super exciting to me as well. So yes, there's ROI, but I would encourage CEOs, boards to look beyond just ROI in some cases because it's not always doable. But at the same time, for the tech people, I would encourage, like, don't start with tech, start with the value of the technology and how can we achieve that. Build a business case that shows that quantifiable but also qualitative metric about why we need to do it.
Let's say you tell the CFO or CEO or the board, hey, don't worry about the ROI, it will come because this is important and we are in the early stages. Because a lot of these companies are public companies and they have pressure of cost, revenue, etc. And so, is how should your peers message it to them?
Like, start with value and start small. And if you don't start seeing some value out of it, either through hard ROI numbers or through qualitative improvement in a G&A worker who says, today my role was doing that, but AI is helping me do that faster so I can do something else. It is, at the moment, it's not a replacement, it's augmentation of the human capability. So that an AI helped me get to analyzing this hundreds of contracts faster. So I can now go in and focus on the key contract, and I can provide a better customer experience and faster proposal, as an example, through contract review. So show that as a softer qualitative improvement metric as well. And if that's not happening, move on to the next one.
So I think what you're saying is pick the right use cases also, which is kind of tied into the ROI, where you can get some maybe quick wins. And if those don't happen, move on to the other wins. We're coding IDE, coding generators like Cursor and others are the big rage right now. And that has kind of led to, let's just put it this way, reduction in workforce, especially when you look at these tech companies.
In the pyramid, usually new technology and new innovation comes and hits the bottom task worker. And then there's a layer above it, knowledge workers, and then there's management and so forth and so on. This is the first time at the scale that we know that innovation has hit harder on the top, the white collar workers. I know a lot of people, and you know as well, a lot of people who've gone through 3-4 years of college, got a computer science degree, and wondering what their role is. Like, was it all worth it? Because now AI can help coding and do write codes. So technology is changing fast. This one's come really, really fast. And you mentioned, like, I had written about I was trying to warn. I wasn't the only one. There are a few others who could see that coming as well. Eventually, what will happen is roles will change, just like roles changed in the past technology innovations, right? The only thing is, right now, the roles are changing faster. So we need to adapt faster. Coming back to coding, the white coding ways of doing things, the role of a senior developer has now increased and is in even more demand now. And you could see the AI engineers and coders who can do that are super successful, in demand, and a lot more money being thrown at them to track them because the pool is smaller. But the junior level is getting hit hard because the commoditization has happened. But as this keeps evolving, how are we going to get the senior developers if we don't have juniors today? So what is the problem that we're going to end up facing in 5 years' time? So this is a very interesting space. The next 1 to 3 years, we're going to see a lot of shakeup in different roles, specifically where AI can easily do, but end of the day, it's tokenization, it's rearranging tokens. As companies did outsourcing so that they could focus on the strategic and core and outsource the contextual, then we started seeing waves of globalization and offshoring and BPO, and countries like India benefited from that waves. AI is going to bring in that human personal transformation where people would have to think, what can I outsource from my daily job? I'm thinking that as a CIO as well. Like, what are the things a bot can do so that I can focus on what is core? And what is core to my business is the strategy and the business growth and the outcomes. What is not core to my business is the contextual work that I have to do in some approvals and reviews and reading some documentations. So it's going to evolve. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer. I don't think anybody's got an answer. But what I do know is what's going to help us get through this journey is the self-reflection of what does it mean to be human, and what does it mean to be whoever I am in my role, and focus on core that only I can do.
It's becoming incredibly real because we have so many companies that are implementing now. You've got Salesforce has Agentforce, etc. But agentic AI will also create governance challenges, autonomous decision making, accountability for mistakes, human oversight at scale. Firstly, what are your thoughts on it? How do you architect governance systems that need to operate with uh, human level judgment, but at a superhuman speed?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So, and you layer ethics on top of governance, then you we start realizing the complexity around it, right? So, in as technology started evolving in the 90s, we saw like proliferation of hardware and servers. Then we started seeing proliferation of applications. And then as technology was mainstream and every company was running on tech, you start seeing like a depending on a business, like product proliferation and too many SKUs to manage. Then data's everywhere and the data governance comes in place. And in the SaaS world, we started building APIs so that all these applications can be integrated through a programming interface. So we then started seeing proliferation of APIs. And now you rightly pointed out this confusion between AI agents and agentic AI. To me, AI agents is something that you configure and build to execute a specific task. And agentic AI is the workflow of various tasks coming in together in a very simple English manner. So when you see that and everybody's building it, we're going to start seeing proliferation of AI agents. And as agentic AI comes in, possibly different types of technologies talking to each other, different applications as well. So it's a very friction heavy process in terms of is it rule driven? Is it time intensive? Is it cross functional? And agentic AI is the new digital workforce. This is a CAIO podcast, but I'm sure at some CHRO podcast, if HR officers are not deliberating and debating how they will manage the future workforce of humans and bots, and then there's a problem. So that is the workforce we'll have in future. How do you put in governance measures? It's the technology as well as the execution of the technology. And the LLM models who have been trained, and what worries me slightly is the synthetic data generation and how we do it and who does it. Otherwise, you're going to bring in some human biases and the mistakes of the past into training those models, and that will translate into ethics and AI. So again, technology is going faster than most of us or most of the people you talk to understand the what. A lot of AI people who build AI also wonder how it happened, like why AI does what it does in certain ways when you go deep down into the deep neural networks and those things. And the space is still evolving. So regulation then always follows. So it's governance in terms of enterprises on how do you govern technology, the deployment, the experimentation, and potential fallout if something goes wrong, the ethics of it. Imagine deploying a agentic AI to a customer facing, and if something goes wrong, we are also less willing, we as humans, especially in the professional world, are less willing to let go a machine mistake. We're okay to accommodate a human error. So that room to make a mistake through AI chatbot is very, very low, and nobody's going to accept it. So we're holding AI to a different level than we've held our human resources in the past. So it's acutely important. There's also cybersecurity and threat. So when we look at governance and ethics, we are forming a cross-functional team who are looking at these various elements from legal to HR to security to the pure technology of things as well. It's a very evolving space, and a lot of different people have different views on it. And eventually, regulation is going to catch up.
You said CHROs are responsible now for a human workforce and a digital workforce. Is it the CHRO that is responsible? So, just if you can answer for your peers those two questions.
Yeah. So at the moment, the technology leader is responsible for technology, and the technology leader has to partner with the rest of the C-suite to prevent, and if something goes wrong, then to mitigate. but the technology leader is responsible. Will it evolve and change in the future? Probably will. But at the moment, because we're still in a lot of use cases and development and innovation and testing phase, and generally across the industries, there are not many productionized things unless you bought it, right? So buy versus build is a different thing as well. So when you buy it, it's simpler, it's easier because you partners taking on some of the risk. If quote unquote Copilot goes wrong, you get away by explaining it. But end of the day, it's each human executing the tech or at the touch point needs to be careful about how it operates as well. Your second question about is C1 doing it? Yes, we are. And C1 we have our own IP. We call it C1 LE. It's a voice over LLM. It's authentic intelligence is how we put it. And then we're working on a number of different initiatives where we're looking at how can we help our go-to-market workforce do it faster in terms of quotations, proposals, engagement with the client. How can we improve the win rate? How can we improve the conversion rate? So again, starting with the outcome and the business value.
So, AI agents making financial decisions in banking, do you think it's terrifying or is it inevitable?
At the moment, it's slightly terrifying, but it is also inevitable, and we will see some problems. But we shouldn't stop it because it's inevitable.
I'm going to come to your favorite topic, AGI by 2030.
Some of the models already can operate at a much higher level than even I can, and it's a cusp of things, and it will happen sooner. It will not even announce it.
Open source AI models versus proprietary models, which one would you pick?
All of them, depending on the use case.
Regulation, AI regulation, will it accelerate or slow enterprise AI adoption?
There are controls in place to adapt to the regulation, but eventually it will start pushing, and then regulation will have to evolve.
AI ethics committees, are they really useful or are they just checkboxes?
My honest and very candid answer right now, it's checkbox, but it needs to evolve. And I'm being a little critical here because I think it's a very important function, governance and ethics, and it should evolve.
Synthetic data for training models, do they solve real problems or they create new risks?
They have the promise to solve real problems, but coming back to the ethics and how the synthetic data is generated, that could create a massive problem that we don't even understand today because of the hidden biases that could slipstream in prompt poisoning and other lot of risks that go along with that. So it's a massive promise because what you need to train the machine learning models need data, and as the world gets out of the reusable data and not the new produced data through AI, then you need synthetic data. So it's a huge promise, but it comes with a very, very big challenge.
Viral, the skill that will matter most for chief AI officers?
Ability to collaborate with the rest of the C-suite and build and help them understand and elevate the narrative.
Do you think we are evolving to the point where every company will have a tech native CEO?
To run a business, a CEO has to do a lot more than just technology. There's P&L, management of people, growth, stakeholder investor management, and so forth and so on. But as new business models evolve and the criticality of technology is elevated, and if AI and these things are embedded, and you have a future workforce that is not just human, but also bots and digital workforces, I think there will be a point where tech native CEOs will start having advantages if they pivot from being just a tech leader to a business leader. In tech industry, you've already seen like Microsoft and Google and other places. But outside of that, So my hypothesis here is, as these things evolve and get better, and as technologists start understanding the value of AI in businesses and tied to business outcomes, they will start playing from a different elevated playing field. And as the board starts understanding the value of AI and everything, these gaps will reduce, and you will see the 6 to 7% get into 16 to 17% of tech native CEOs and Fortune 500 in the next 3 to 5 years.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate you joining us for the CAIO podcast and the clarity you bring to the field, and your leadership is really worth following. So connect with him, Viral, on his LinkedIn, where his posts really balance provocative thinking sometimes with grounded experience. Viral, thank you so much for being on the CAIO podcast.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjay. It's super exciting times that we live in, and very engaging discussion. I enjoyed it. And thanks to your listeners as well. And together we'll make this world a better place through technology.
Thanks for tuning in to the Chief AI Officer podcast with Sanjay Puri. If you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you thought. And share it with someone curious about the future of AI. Join us every Friday right here on the CAIO podcast as we share more stories and insights from the leaders shaping what's ahead.